Heineken 0.0 has sold over 13 million cases in the United States alone. It is the #1 non-alcoholic beer on Earth, available in 117 countries, 24 straight quarters of growth in America, and on draft in over 10,000 bars across Europe. And most people who drink it still assume it was never real beer to begin with. But here is something that might surprise you. Heineken 0.0 starts its life as real beer. Same recipe, same fermentation, same alcohol. Then every drop of that alcohol is taken back out, and what is left behind has less alcohol than a hamburger bun. It takes 4 ingredients to brew beer. It takes years of engineering to remove one of them. Alcohol does more in a beer than get you drunk. It carries the flavor. The taste, the character, everything that makes beer taste like beer lives inside the alcohol. It is the vehicle. Remove the alcohol, and the flavor tries to leave with it. Heat it too much, and you cook the beer. Rush it, and you lose the aroma. Go too slow, and the flavor fades anyway. For decades, no one could figure out how to separate the two without destroying what made the drink worth finishing. That is why every early non-alcoholic beer tasted like nothing, and why the category was a punchline for years. Heineken spent years solving that problem, and the answer sits inside a distillation column in Den Bosch. So how does a beer lose its alcohol and keep its taste? 4 ingredients arrive at the brewery in Den Bosch: purified water, barley malt, hop extract, and Heineken A-Yeast, a strain no other brewery on earth has access to. No corn, no rice, no additives, that is it. The barley is crushed in a mill and dropped into a steel vessel called a mash tun. Hot water pours in. The mixture steeps until the grain releases its sugars into the liquid. What drains out the bottom is wort, a warm, sweet, amber-colored liquid that smells like fresh bread. It moves through a network of pipes to the brew kettle, a towering copper-lined tank where it is brought to a boil. Hop extract goes in for bitterness. From the kettle, the wort is cooled and pumped into tall, sealed fermentation tanks, rows of them lining the brewery floor. Workers add A-yeast. Over the next several days, the yeast works through the liquid, turning sugar into alcohol and gas. Bubbles rise through the tanks around the clock. When fermentation finishes, what sits in the tank is beer. Real beer. The same process as a regular 5% Heineken. Then they run the entire cycle again. A second brew. A second fermentation. This double brew step does not exist anywhere in regular Heineken production. Now the alcohol has to come out. The beer is piped into a distillation column, a tall piece of stainless steel standing several stories high inside a sealed chamber. Inside, the air pressure is pulled down so that alcohol turns to vapor at a low temperature. The beer never gets hot enough to cook. The vapor rises through the column and exits at the top. The liquid beer flows down and collects in a holding tank below. But the alcohol does not rise alone. It pulls flavor with it. The fruity character that makes Heineken taste like Heineken tries to leave with the vapor. Partway up the column, a separate section catches that flavor, strips it from the rising vapor, and roots it back into the beer. The alcohol keeps going up and out. The flavor stays behind. This one step is the reason non-alcoholic beer can taste like anything at all. What comes out is flat, still, with no carbonation. A brewmaster blends it with natural flavorings, and the flavor that was caught and saved from the distillation step, tasting and adjusting until it hits the target profile. Carbonation is pumped back in. The finished product is tested to confirm it sits at or below 0.03%. Bottled or canned. Shipped to 117 countries. But this process did not begin in a factory. It began with a student of Pasteur. In 1886, Heineken built a research laboratory inside its Rotterdam brewery. They hired Dr. Hartog Elian, who had trained under Pasteur himself. Elian spent months testing yeast samples one by one until he narrowed it down to 2, A-yeast and D-yeast. A-yeast made the best beer. Clean, consistent, with a taste no other strain could match. That is the same strain sitting in the fermentation tanks today. 140 years later, no other brewery has ever had access to it. Willem van Weesberge, Heineken's global craft and brewmaster, has called 0.0 the most difficult product he has ever worked on. They did not just take a regular Heineken and strip the alcohol out. They built an entirely new recipe from scratch, designed to taste right after the alcohol was removed. That double brew step is not tradition, it is compensation. Then there is the company that did the opposite. Bill Shufelt, a Wall Street trader, quit drinking and could not find a non-alcoholic beer worth finishing. He partnered with brewer John Walker, and they ran over 100 trial batches in Walker's parents' garage, changing one small thing at a time, sometimes just a single degree of temperature. Athletic Brewing. 875 barrels in their first year. $800 million valuation by 2024. 19% of American non-alcoholic beer sales. Athletic never removes alcohol. They control the brewing process so that alcohol barely forms in the first place. The exact opposite of Heineken. Here is where the story flips. In 2024, regular Heineken volume grew 1.6%. Heineken 0.0 grew 10. When the company reported its results, it was the 0.0 line that analysts pointed to. The product with no alcohol was outpacing the one that built the brand. Heineken now calls itself the global leader in 0.0 beer. They have committed to offering a non-alcoholic option for at least one major brand in every market. Their Formula One sponsorship, one of the most visible in sports, runs under the tagline, "When you drive, never drink." The company that was built on alcohol is now being reshaped by a beer that contains none. In March 2026, Heineken launched 0.0 Ultimate. 0.0. Zero alcohol, zero sugar, 0 calories. Drinkers called it thin and watery. Sugar is what gives beer its weight when you take a sip. Take the sugar out and the body disappears. That wall has not come down yet. But the original 0.0 keeps growing. Heineken followed it with cold-pressed lime and nectarine juniper. They put it on draft in over 10,000 bars across Europe. Their own research found that 81% of people now say it is fine to decline a drink without giving a reason. A decade ago, ordering a non-alcoholic beer meant explaining yourself. Now it does not need a story. That is the shift. Heineken 0.0 is not a compromise. It is a product that required more steps, more precision, and more time than the original. The hardest beer Heineken has ever made contains no alcohol at all. 13 million cases, 117 countries. All of it starts as real beer and comes out the other side with less alcohol than a hamburger bun. That is the process. We reveal how things actually work, one story at a time. If there is something you want us to explore next, let us know. Until then, trust the process.